Okay, I wanted to make this video. Well, I made a comment saying I was going to make this a long time ago, but it's been a while. It's been like a year since I made the last one, but I kind of liked the replies I got, and people seem to kind of had a similar opinion as mine as far as people who review these pliers don't actually fucking use them or just show a demonstration, which that's cool. We all know how pliers work, but we want to see used ones and see how they stood up against abuse or anything at all, or actual just normal use, heavy use maybe, which is what I do, especially specific. These are pretty much the bread and butter for the most part. And so I'm going to start off by saying if I had to choose any one of these, I would definitely choose these ones, just because, I mean, these other ones can do some things that these can't, just as far as jaw opening, but these just seem the sturdiest, and they have pretty strong teeth. I've only used these I've had them for a long time, but I didn't put them to use at work till a couple weeks ago. I've only used them, like I said, for a couple weeks, and I really enjoyed these ones, and I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep using these at work, but it's just something to know, but I'll get to that. The biggest ones that I really wanted to put in here are these three, because these three are the ones you see, you're starting to kind of show up on YouTube, but they're not. No one's showing them that are used. No one's showing them that they mess with them or fucked them up or actually put them to any kind of real use. Just demonstrations, and that's completely pointless. We all know how fucking pliers work. All of us know how pliers work. If we're Google searching them or YouTubing them, we know how they work. We want to see what they're like and if they're any fucking good. And be honest, out of these three here, the one that I thought was the smoothest action and the easiest to work with were these ones right here. And that's because this button is actually it's genius. Oh, watch. Oh yeah, it's already snagging up. That's cool. But it really is just the smoothest one. You can actually do this one-handed. If you're trying to get onto something, you can finagle your way through something if you just got one hand for whatever reason. You're trying to get on something. But I really enjoyed these ones. I used these for, I don't know, it was a couple months, I think, on and off, and then I carried them for a while, for maybe 3 months, maybe a little bit less than that. But as you can see, if I can get this thing to focus, I'm not going to be able to do it. Watch. Okay. So these are a little bit dirty, I guess, but if that tells you I actually used them, and you can see the teeth are still, let me clean those teeth off. See, I didn't prepare for this at all. I don't know how to do this. Okay, there, I just cleaned it off. So, if I could just see what my camera's looking at. They're not in bad shape. They're definitely a little smoothed off, but these things can bite. And they're the same like the Knepex. You could put basically, if you would imagine this being the box end or closed end of a wrench, and you could put this on the end, which you can see I've done. There's the markings there and the marking there, where I'll put the wrench and use this as more leverage, and it does work, and it's really good. But the problem with these ones is, and it didn't start happening till after a month, is these will actually pop out of their locking position. It doesn't seem like the actual teeth in here that bite in, which, by the way, just because I'm flipping it over, you can switch the position. If you're left-handed, this will still work for you. You can still press the button from the other side, and that's something that none of these other pliers can do. Well, besides those, but these are the only ones that'll do that. But the problem was that sometimes I'd be really giving it one, even without using the wrench on the end. You're really on it, and it would just pop down and go into the next tooth, and then it would just let go. Obviously, your jaws aren't biting down like they're supposed to be, and they'd fly off of there. And after that happened a couple times, I really liked them, but because that happened, they're just junk. Or they're not junk, but they're not as good. I hadn't had any other ones do that to me, so I wouldn't recommend these too much. I mean, I do like them. If you're going to do light stuff with them, I guess, but you could go a lot cheaper. These are pretty expensive off of Amazon. I can't remember exactly what I paid. I want to say maybe $50-$60, which is kind of a lot, which, by the way, all these are 10-inch pliers besides these ones up in the corner for whatever reason. But these are all the 10-inch pliers, I guess. But you know, it just, and they do have good grips. These are nice grips. You can see these are in good shape. You can clean these if you're that type of guy that polishes his tools, which is fine. You know, I like tools, but I don't sit here and just clean them. That's just, I don't know. That's just, every to each their own. But so I'll go to these ones before I get to the ones that nobody's really hurt or done anything on. These Stahlwille, I believe is the way I'm going to pronounce it. But these snap-on ones, they're not bad. They're pretty much the same deal as these. I want to say they open up the same amount of jaw length, width or opening. The thickness, I'd say, it's pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit thinner than the Craftsman ones. I'm sure the teeth are actually stronger. If you want to look at the teeth, these were put to use for maybe 2 months, maybe a little bit less than that. And I did like them. I mean, there was nothing wrong with them. They were definitely stout, but like I'll use them as valve wrenches sometimes. So if you'd imagine my hand as a valve wheel, and I use them to actually turn the valve wheel if it's a little bit seized up, I'll use my channel locks for that. Well, these definitely had more give than these ones did, which I thought was kind of weird. You could definitely tell these stay nice and straight for you, and you could feel these flexing. And I would stop because, you know, if you bend these sideways, any kind of channel lock with this type of design, they're just not going to work for you anymore. They're going to get all caught up. Another problem with these ones that made them it made them stupid, and you guys might think I'm stupid for doing what I did, but this bolt, and I tried different things. I did Loctite. I did a bunch of different crap because this bolt just would not stay in place. And yeah, I get it. The snap-on guy will warranty that out, but it's the same thing because I bought the little ones, and they do the same thing. The bolt just opens up, and in a matter of no time. And it might be because I use them a lot, so obviously they're gonna loosen up. But that's just annoying. None of these I don't ever have to do maintenance on my pliers. That's just, even though it's just a bolt, I get it, but still. So what I ended up doing, which made them work perfectly how I like them, I got this tight enough where I was still tight, kind of rubbed at the beginning, but not enough where it got stuck. And I used the TIG welder and just gave it a little tack. I know if I put a wrench on that, I can break that weld off and put a new bolt in there if I need to. Not a very big tack or anything. And it made them perfect. It made them so I never had to mess with them again. They work perfectly. They're nice and smooth. They're still, as you can see right there, they're still a little bit tight. Not tight, but they definitely rub a little bit. But that's exactly how I wanted them. But there's nothing wrong with these. They have these grips, definitely probably the most comfortable, actually, I will admit. But I always use the back of my channel locks as kind of a hammer, tapping on stuff. And sometimes, you know, I'll kind of miss, and you know, this started cracking a little bit, splitting open, but that's not a big deal. I really don't care about that. I can put new grips on it if I want to, or warranty them, I guess. But I don't do that. I keep tools forever. If they break, I buy another one, and if they broke for a bad reason, I won't buy the same ones again. It's that simple. Now, these ones are really nice. These ones you could put Stahlwille, I'll stop saying these ones. You could put a lot of force on these things. They're really they're stout. They're really stout. And I mean, now as you can see, these do have a stop right here to stop them from pinching your hands if you're worried about that. I mean, I guess everybody is, but I mean, you'll be all right. And they do have a stop. As you can see, they're pretty close together, and they weren't originally like that. And the reason why mine ended up like this, I was closing a very, 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 very large valve, and I was in a really big hurry, again, needing to get it shut, and I couldn't get it shut. Close by was a very large pipe. I put the pipe over both of the handles, used it as a cheater bar, and I grabbed, it was a very, very large valve. I can't remember, I mean, I don't know. I won't even say it, but it's a very large valve, so it had a large square stem sticking out that you could put a grab on it and then put a pipe on it. So I put a pipe on it, and I did close it, and I took them out. You know, it squished them, obviously, but that was like a 4-foot pipe on this thing. And I mean, there's no plier in the world that was going to hold up against that. There's no way in hell. Now, another thing that like Knipex do, just because of the jaw design, they won't open all the way. They'll have a stop. And as we can see on the Knipex ones, it's just as simple as the jaw, the way it's designed. Get that out of the way. It just won't let you open just because the jaw hits right here. So it's simple. There's nothing to it. That's not going to break. I was removing an eyelet off of the top of the motor, and I believe, I can't remember how I stuck this in there. I stuck this in the eyelet, if that makes sense, like this, and then I started to turn it like that, just to get it to go around or get it off. I mean, granted, I could have done it way smarter, but you know, big deal. I didn't think anything of it. This is when I first got them, and what ended up happening is this actually popped. It came all the way this way. And as you can see, the only thing stopping this jaw from overextending or over opening is that right there. That little peg. It's only on one side. That's the only thing stopping this from opening all the way. So I was going at it, dunk, and this popped under. And as you can see, that's why it's all kind of shiny there. It was because of that reason. And it's not a big deal not using them the right way, but it did happen, and I thought that was kind of funny. And you know, it wasn't that very hard. I just gave him a little good slap on the back of him there and popped that thing back out, and it still stops it. But I just thought that was kind of stupid that they even bother. I mean, good on, you know, it needs it, but they should have made it bigger or put it on both. I think both sides. That would have made sense. Now, I'll keep moving forward before I keep rambling. Now we'll look at the jaws really quick. Jaws are in really pretty good shape. None of them are broke. I would say they did probably the best out of smoothing or rounding off. Yeah, there you go. So, and that's not rust or corrosion, that's pipe dope. Yeah, they're in pretty good shape. Another thing that I thought was interesting is that they put these teeth there. I thought that would help. Not really. You end up grabbing stuff kind of awkwardly. Let me put this correctly. But sometimes, see, as you can see, I got it perfectly open to the right size. Sometimes you'll be starting off if you go off a little bit wrong, when you're going at it, I don't know, watch, I'm not going to be able to do it just because it's like this. But you see, if I bite it like that, let's say, I mean, if you're looking at it from sideways, it kind of looks like it's right. But you'll be going at it, and see, those teeth don't really do anything. They don't really, I mean, like the Knipex ones, none of them have teeth there. And at first I thought that was kind of dumb, like they should have teeth. It just makes sense. And you can see none of them, none of the Knipex pliers or any of the other pliers have teeth there, right? Just make sure. Oh, these do too, but these are completely useless. These are really small, so they don't do anything. But it kind of did. It didn't affect them, but it would sometimes, like you'd be going at it and then it'd do that number and then it just kind of slip off a little bit. So you kind of started machining the side of the bolt, which when you're using channel locks, that's going to fucking happen. But they're really strong pliers. They don't open as wide as Knipex. I don't have my ones I use right now are at work, my Knipex ones. But as you can see, these are the tiny guys. These are, I believe, the minis, the smallest ones you can get from Knipex, and they're not that much. I mean, it's a substantially smaller plier in comparison, and it's pretty close. The Knipex one will open up like down to here in comparison. I wish I had it. And this one does open. I'll come back to this one real quick. This one does substantially open farther. I hope that's lined up correctly. I hope I haven't been talking out of view. Okay. These do open up farther. So these are good pliers, but the jaw opening is not as big. It has that goofy little deal there. These teeth here are kind of pointless. These do have these are the most comfortable. These are the most ergonomic. I think they even say that on the side somewhere. No, maybe they don't. But these fit. If Knipex could make pliers their regular Cobra pliers with this type of handle, they'd own the game. I mean, and they do. I mean, they already do. But and I brought these kind of as a what would that be called? Control. And these just suck. I mean, they're not bad, but they don't bite correctly. They're kind of goofy, and I mean, I kind of gave up on these really quick. These handles are really, really thin. Like these are already kind of bent. It's kind of hard to tell, but they're already bent, and I already straightened them out once. And they're not bad pliers, but I just wouldn't buy those. I'd just spend a little bit more money and get the regular channel locks, the ones that don't have this jaw opening on this with this style, and go for something Knipex or channel lock. And like what I'm trying to get at here, I guess, is that these are both good pliers. They're pretty rugged. This one being the weakest one, and it's too bad because it's the nicest operating. It has the nicest teeth design, I believe. It's nice and narrow, nice and thin, very similar to the Knipex ones. They're not too much wider. Actually, they're even thinner than these ones. Let me get into the camera view so everyone can see what the hell I'm talking about. If I could get it to focus for you. There you go. Oh man, I'm sorry guys. I just don't know how to do this stuff. As you can see, they're about the same width, and these are much smaller. These are the older ones, I guess. But, so I am saying these are all, let me get these all out of the way. These are all pretty decent pliers. If you're going for the cheapest, best bang for your buck, I'm gonna go with this one right here. This one's gonna be awesome. These have good grips. They're nice. I do like the grittier ones like this. That sounds kind of weird, but these have comfortable grips. These are really expensive. This part here is just makes it just not worth money to me. It's just not worth money. They're not worth it. And I think these are like $50. I mean, and that I think I got them on eBay too, so it was even cheaper. But I wouldn't recommend those at all. I mean, unless you can get them cheap, and you'll have to do something with that. If you use them a lot, maybe you won't use them as much as I do, and it won't even bother you. These are great. These are pretty cool. These are really expensive. These are like $65, $70, depending on where you get them and at what time. But these have a nice button, nice mechanism. There's nothing wrong with it. They have the smallest jaw opening, though, is a problem for me. They're definitely stout. You can definitely put this on a valve or whatever you might be turning sideways, and they're really stout. Comfortable. These aren't bad, but they're $70, and the Knipex ones are better than this. It's just that simple. I mean, there's nothing else to that. These, maybe I have mine defective, maybe I messed mine up, and maybe that's why they started popping out. But after it happened, and yes, obviously all these, I abuse them all the same way as far as that wrench or the pipe, but that's just too damn bad. So if I had to recommend anyone, best bang for your buck is this one. If you're going to go with expensive ones, just buy the Knipex ones. If you're going to spend a good amount of money, I'd buy Knipex. Just go for that. I mean, everybody preaches the same thing, but they are better, and you can get all kinds of different handles, which I know these other ones probably have other handles too, but I'm not going to say stray away from these. These are comfortable, and if you know you're not using fittings that are that too big, these aren't bad. I mean, I can't say I don't recommend these. I won't. Nope. Go for these. If you're going to go spend some money, go for these. But that's all I got to say. I'm glad this one didn't come out to be a rant, but I will throw a little bit of snippet in there. It does piss me off that people should talk about these and they go, oh, yada, 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 they're so great and blah, 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 just like the Knipex and channel lock and all that bullshit. But these are used. I've used them. I've beat them up a lot. I've put them to their breaking points, basically, and none of them are that bad. But like I said, I would stray away from these. They're just not that good. These, you got to choose. I mean, if you really want to spend some money and be fancy and show off your expensive pliers, I guess you could go over. They're fucking expensive, but I don't care. If you don't care about that, then who cares? Go for it. Have fun with it. But these are the best bang for your buck in my opinion. I think they're better than channel lock. The only problem with these, channel locks are going to open a lot wider. The similar 10-inch ones, they're going to open a little bit wider. You know, maybe I think it's like a 1/2 inch, but So that's all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I hope I can make another one. Thanks, guys.